for joining us today. We are going to be teaching Dominion, one of the most popular deck building games there is. We are going to be playing a physical copy today, but you can play online at dominion.game. It's an interesting interface. You can play with other people, you can play with some randos, you can play with your friends. It's a pretty nice one though. It gives you a really big, cool visual of the cards. But we'll give you the basics of the game. This game varies every single time you play it because there are literally, I don't know, tens of thousands of card combinations.
With expansions as well. On Dominion.net, you can play, I believe, for free the base game.
Oh, Dominion.games.
Sorry, Dominion.games. The base game, if you want the expansions, that course costs a little more money.
It does, but it is free to play the base game, and you can play with friends. It's pretty cool.
Yep. What we have out here, I believe, is the recommended starter game.
Yep. If you take a look at the cards, each of the cards does different things, but we'll go over how the rules work for a basic play first, and then how the cards alter that. You get a deck to start out with of 3 victory cards. At the end of the game, these are worth 3 points, 1 each, and 7 copper cards. As you play, each copper is worth $1. Every time you play, you play your cards that you have in your hand in whatever order that you want, and these actions also happen in whichever order that you choose. You can take one action, and you have one buy. A buy is a purchase of a single item. You can purchase any of the 10 cards that have actions. You can purchase any of the victory cards. Toward the end of the game, you're going to want to purchase things like the Province, which gives you 6 victory points, but only has 1 card in your deck. Or you can buy money. Extra coppers cost $0. The cost for every card is in the bottom, right here. Silvers cost $3 and golds cost $6. But later in the game, you'll have $3 on 1 card, and it's very convenient. When you start to play, you take your initial 10 cards, or later in the game when you have a lot more than that, shuffle them up. This will automatically be done for you online, which is convenient. And deal yourself a hand of 5. Every time you take an action and complete your turn, at the end of your turn, you deal back up to 5 cards. Some of the cards will affect this later in the game, so you definitely want to deal back up to your full complement at the end of your turn. Now, throughout the game, as you pull cards, you play them, you purchase things, and when you purchase things, it goes into your discard pile. So say I use these 3 cards to buy a village, just for example's sake. I don't get to use the village at first. It goes into my discard pile. In the next round, after I've done everything I want to do, I deal myself 5 more cards, and then I move to the next round. Now, when I'm out of cards in my draw deck, I just shuffle my discard deck, and the one that I've purchased is now in rotation.
So I saw you put the estates in your discard pile. Are they just dead weight, basically?
They basically are. The victory points are great for the end of the game when you need to score, but they're going to bloat your hand throughout. Right now, I only can hold maximum of $5 because I only have coppers, and and it's going to be broken up by estates. Later in the game, I can purchase silvers and golds and get it more efficient. So maybe I pull 3 golds, I have $9, I can purchase a province with 3 cards.
Now you said deck bloat. Is there anything to get rid of that, or
some of the cards do. Most cards involve discarding, which means that the card goes into your hand. Some cards, like the mine, involve trashing. Anytime you trash a card versus discarding it, it goes out of the game. So say I trashed all 3 of my estates throughout the course of play. Later in the game, when I'm pulling cards, I only am pulling money, so it's more efficient for me to purchase things. But I've burned 3 victory points, so there's a downside.
So when you trash, it's literally out of the game.
It is out of the game forever.
So this kind of seemed like it's like solitary kind of game. Is there any kind of interaction cards?
Absolutely. Let's go through the cards we have here. And as I mentioned, every game of Dominion is different. There are a lot of different interactions. Some things even give you negative points. We're not playing with any cards that give you curses today, but there is a type of negative point. The game progresses, depending on how many players you have, until so many of these card piles of these types, including the victory cards, are depleted. I believe it is for a 3 to 4 player game, either 3 or 4 stacks. Now, if you look online, it'll give you specifics for whatever variant of the game that you're playing with however many people, because there are a lot of variants.
Except for the province. If this deck ever empties, game over.
Exactly. If somebody buys the last province and they are metered out based on how many players you have, then the game is over. And then everybody counts all of the victory point cards in their deck, and that's how the winner is determined. And if there's a tie, it's the person who has the most money in their deck. Now, to go through some of these, as I mentioned before, the crux of this game is you get one action and one buy every turn. If you purchase a seller, you get an extra action. So you start out, like, you play a seller as your action, and then you get another action, so you can play another card after it. Discard any number of cards, then draw that many. So you can cycle through. So say I had a hand of 3 estates and a seller. I could discard my 3 estates, so they're out of my hand, and draw back up 3 more cards that might be more useful to me.
Yep.
The moat. The moat gives you an extra 2 cards. So instead of just your complement of 5, you play that card as your action, and you have no more actions unless you had something else, and you draw 2 more cards from your deck. It also is a reaction card. So if another player plays an attack card, the militia, as an example, is an attack card, and you have a moat in your hand, you can play it as a reaction. When another player plays an attack card, you may first reveal this from your hand to be unaffected by it, so it can block a militia later in the game.
Now, it's important if you're playing with other decks, not all reaction cards are created equal. They may react, but you still get hit with the action,
Exactly.
attack. So, and like you said earlier, there's a billion different combinations.
The village, which is a 3-point card, is one of the most versatile ones that I love to play with. You get 1 extra card and 2 extra actions. So you play the village as your action, and then you immediately get 1 card and 2 more actions. It's absolutely wonderful, and I love it. The merchant, you get 1 card and 1 action, and the first time you play a silver this turn, you get +1 coin. So that's an extra coin with which to buy with this turn. It's not a physical card, it's just an extra point, or coin to play with. The workshop, which costs 3, you gain a card costing up to 4. So you buy a workshop 1 time, and it cycles through your deck multiple times. And you can gain any card that costs up to 4 every single time you play it. But notice, it doesn't have an extra action. So if you play it, it may be the only thing you do that turn. You still have a buy, but it may be your only action. Smithy gives you 3 cards, just 3 cards off the top of your deck. Remodel lets you trash a card from your hand and gain a card costing up to 2 more than it. So for example, if I wanted to play a remodel and I trashed an estate, I could turn that estate into a smithy. I trash it, it goes out of the game, I pick up a smithy, it goes in my discard because it's 4 versus 2. Militia is an attack card that affects other players. It gives you +2 coins for the buying phase, and each other player discards down to 3 cards in hand. This is important, as I mentioned before, that you draw back up to 5. That happens at the end of your turn. So if it's my turn, and Cameron has already drawn back up to 5, and I play a militia, he's got to discard down to 3, which is terrible because it makes his options a lot crappier.
Yeah.
Market is also another wonderful, wonderful card. You get +1 card, +1 action, an extra buy, and an extra coin. That's really important. So say it's late game, and I have a decent amount of money, but I want to buy a variety of things. I have $5, but I don't necessarily want to buy a duchy. Maybe I could play this card, and then I could buy a seller and a village in the same round, 2 cards.
Or if you have enough money, just double buy provinces.
That's true. If I've got a good engine going, I've got a whole bunch of gold, I have a ton of money, I could play that card and buy 2 provinces. It would be really hot. Now the last card we're playing with is a mine. You can trash a treasure from your hand. A treasure is any one of these 3 cards to gain 1 costing up to 3 more than it. So basically what you're doing is turning coppers into gold, or silvers, and silvers into golds, because they're all $3 apart. Now, let's do a couple example hands just to show you.
Alright. So, my turn first. I drew 3 states, 2 coppers, so I can't really do too much with it. Again, like we said earlier, states really do nothing but be points in your hand. So I have 2 coppers. I can either buy an action reaction, the moat, or the seller. I'm going to go with the moat. Defense
Good
is
choice.
good because I know people on this table.
When he bought the moat, it goes into his discard pile. He can't use it this turn. And he doesn't have any more cards, or any more buys, or any more actions. So
My turn's done.
his turn's done. He's going to draw back up to 5 immediately. That's his discard pile.
And there we go.
There we go. I drew 1 estate and 4 coppers. 4 is pretty good. I think I'm going to buy... I'm going to buy Village. It only costs 3, but I really like the card. All of this goes into my discard pile, and I draw back up to 5.
So technically, if you had another buy and that extra copper, you could have bought something else that something cost 1 copper.
Exactly. I could have bought something if I had another buy, but that was my only buy for this turn, so moving on.
So I have 2 estates and 3 copper. I think that I want to start preparing for the next few rounds. I think the best way to do that is going to be with a workshop, so that I can start replacing cards that are in my hand.
Excellent.
All right. So I managed to draw all 5 card flips, which is really nice. And I'm going to go for that mine.
Mine is a good choice.
Slowly upgrading things. My hand's empty, my draw pile's empty. Now I'm going to shuffle this and hopefully draw the mine back into my hand.
The good thing about playing this online is that you don't have to constantly shuffle, which is certainly a thing.
Especially with longer and longer and nothing to cut your cards out.
Okay. I have 2 estates and 3 coppers. And I think I'm going to buy a silver, actually. Costs $3. Goes into my discard. Much like Cameron, I have nothing in my draw deck, and I'm going to shuffle my discard pile. Give me just a second. Hopefully I'll get some of that good stuff I just bought.
Hopefully not.
Are we fighting? We're fighting today.
You wanted to play games? We're playing games. Hope it's
Okay.
all estates.
So I have the 1 estate, but I have 4 copper this time. Now, the magic player in me likes the idea of just wheeling, so I'm going to draw the cellar.
Okay?
So hopefully I can just start looping that into something and start getting rid of cards that I don't really need.
Gotcha.
Train, hey, not yet.
Oh, sorry.
Let me draw back up to 5. It could affect.
Good.
Eventually, yeah.
You don't know what I got.
I know what I got.
Yeah. You don't know me.
You're right. And I'll have to care till your turn.
That's not true.
Yeah, you gotta care.
You're right. There are many different cards out there in other games that could do a thing.
Alright, go ahead.
All right. So I have 4 copper and 1 estate. I'm going to get. I'm going to mark it. That's 5. My bad. I can't add. We're going to get that village. Now I have 2 left over. Reshuffle.
I have 1 estate and 4 copper, and I'm gonna break the seal on the militia. Because I know what I'm about.
Well, in that case, I think I will start. I think I'll start with playing my action, the first action, and grabbing the smithy. No, I know how Jess is. I'm gonna grab the militia.
Well, the militia goes in your discard pile when you
my
get
bad.
it. Yep.
And then for my buy, I think that with my 4 copper, I think that the moat is probably going to be my best option so that I can start protecting myself.
That's fair.
Now, do you have to buy?
You don't have to buy. You can not make a purchase.
Nope. So, wait till you draw back up. All right. So I have 2 estates, and I have a choice to make. I can either play the moat or the mine. We'll play the mine, trash my copper, and get it sold.
Village time, village time. Village helped me a little bit. I have 2 estates and $4. technically I had another action, but I don't have any other cards that can play actions, so that is the end. I cannot draw all the way back up, so I am going to have to shuffle.
Join me in shuffling madness.
Shuffling the game. That's what we're here for.
Oh, that's pure torture.
So, now I'm left with a choice here. I could start getting more moats and hopefully protect myself against what's happening next, or I can start preparing to, get myself really into the game. I think I'll do just that. I'll go ahead and grab a silver.
Good choice.
And then I will also have to shuffle because I only have 2 cards left.
While you're shuffling, I will.
Well, hang on before we're gonna. So, this is the basics of the gameplay. When enough of the piles of these types are out, or if the province stack is out, that signals the end of the game. There are so many combinations, I couldn't even begin to tell you what all the card interactions do, but that is half of the fun of playing this game. We hope that you enjoy the video and that you take a look at Dominion. It is available digitally for free for at least the base game to play at Dominion.games. And we are able to teach it to you and can give you any kind of advice you like at the Discord, MomoCon, discord.gg/MomoCon. So, hope to see you there.
Yeah.